Welcome to the Speak with People podcast, where we believe that healthy communication is the key to unlocking your leadership potential. We are the go-to resource for leaders looking to greatly improve their communication skills, whether it's one-on-one interactions, team settings, public speaking, or your digital communication. By improving these skills, leaders can create stronger connections and drive positive change within their organization. Each and every episode, we sit down with leaders from various fields, just like you're grabbing a cup of coffee with them. We dive into real, practical conversations. Our goal is to help you transform your communication skills so you can lead more effectively, build stronger relationships, and make a lasting impact. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's learn together. Well, how can I walk into 2025 and drastically improve my communication skills? I mean, we talk about this on this podcast all the stinking time, and I know you're not sick of it because we have to continue to improve as a communicator. So much of our life is based around how we communicate, and especially as a leader, you are someone who has influence. If you listen to the first episode, you know we dove full in the deep end on how you can improve your leadership. How can you live a life with a pure vision statement, a mission statement, values? You're casting a big vision. You're telling the world, this is why you exist. This is what you're accomplishing. That's going to be you in 2025. Also, what would it look like for your life if you drastically improved your communication? Here's the reality. Communication is the foundation of connection. Some of us, you can't see me if you're just listening. So go to the YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the Speak with People YouTube channel, I'd be unbelievably grateful if you'd go to youtube.com at Speak with People and subscribe. Thank you so much. But some of us, I'm bringing my hands together. You can see it on the YouTube channel. You can't see it on podcast or on Spotify or Apple, but my hands aren't going all the way together. And that illustrates how some of us connect with people. We go we can't go all the way in. Our hands don't touch and our connections don't touch because our communication, am I allowed to say this? It just sucks. It just sucks. And some of us, what sucks even more, I hate using that word, I'm sorry, but what's even worse than that is some of us just don't care. We communicate up to 90% of our day. It's how we've done it our whole life. And we just refuse to change. We refuse to get better. We refuse to improve. We refuse to acknowledge that we have areas or holes in our life. And the connections just won't be as deep. So this week in this episode, we want to uncover how to speak with confidence, clarity, and empathy so we can build stronger relationships, improve our communication, and that way our relationships will connect from one-on-one conversations to conversations with our team, conversations online, in comments. We want to dive into each of these because we really want to transform our words. Because I'm going to give you a little catchphrase. When you transform your words, you transform your world. Now, I don't want to go so big of saying you transform the world because it's a big place, but your world is huge. It's massive, has so much potential, has so much possibility. And when you improve, you'll transform your words, then you will transform your world. Well, how would you like to communicate with more confidence, with more clarity? I mean, wouldn't that be incredible? Not too long ago, I'm driving somewhere. I can't remember what trip I was on, but I was in a new town and I had my Apple Maps going. And at the same time, I wanted to see where a restaurant was. So my Apple Maps was taking me to the airport. Google Maps was taking me to the restaurant. Talk about no clarity, because one of them's telling me to go this way. One of them's telling me to go that way. When I went this way for one map, the other map yelled at me. It was just a mess. And that's how often our communication is. People have no idea what we're saying. They have no idea what we're trying to communicate because our thoughts are everywhere. And that's why it is so incredibly important to be an effective communicator. It's just essential for your leadership. It's essential for your relationships. It's essential for your personal growth. It's why I'm writing a book called Speak with People, Not at Them. How to transform those awkward conversations and turn them into meaningful, life-changing connections. Like Dr. John C. Maxwell said, everyone communicates, but few connect. And so there are giant benefits of being able to improve your communication. There are giant benefits of communicating with confidence. Now, when I say communicate with confidence, I don't mean I immediately get the idea of like somebody, those jackass communicators, right? They just always know everything. They never listen. They interrupt. They talk over people. When they ask people questions, they put them in a corner. They don't ask questions to draw the genius out of people. They're just always pushing them back. I'm not talking about that kind of confidence. I'm talking about a humble confidence that as a leader, one of your goals in your leadership is to help other people improve. And so you're listening with authenticity, you're listening with empathy. I'm talking about that kind of confident communication. How would your leadership, would you have the best year yet of your career if you communicated that way? Hell yes, you would. Yes, you would. Your leadership would go through the roof. Your influence would go through the roof. You would feel more heard than you have ever been in your life. People at your work will want to be on your team. Your boss will want you to lead new projects. Your family life will change. That's the type of confident communication. It builds trust. It fosters understanding. It creates meaningful connections. James Hume, he said, the art of communication is the language of leadership. So, my friends, improve your communication skills. Have the best year yet by being the best communicator that you've ever been in your life. Like, it is time for you to be the best communicator. And it's hard at times, right? Because you got to really understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. We've already talked about that for a second. But confidence is belief in your message and respect for other people. It's belief in what you're going to say because you want to use words that transform people and transform the world. Confidence is rooted in preparation, is rooted in authenticity, is rooted in empathy. You're confident when you're prepared, when you've thought through the conversation. So, yes, even if you're going to have coffee with somebody, even if you're sitting down with your boss, you've already thought through the conversation. You've thought through the questions I want to ask. You thought through the different nuances of the conversation. You've already done those kind of things. And you want to know that confidence with arrogance is just not going to work. You want confidence with humility. Because if you have that humility, you have that servant leadership lifestyle that says, I want to help you succeed, it's just absolutely incredible what's going to happen. And that's why, as a leader, you want to be clear in your communication. You want to have clarity. And clarity really is the key to being understood. If you don't ever feel understood, you're not very clear. That's just what it comes down to. And clarity makes sure what you're saying is received as intended. If you have to keep saying, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. If you keep talking and they look like there's nothing going on in their eyes and their body and they're not receiving the information, it doesn't make sense. So use some techniques for simplifying your message. Make sure it's absolutely clear. One of the things you can do is to master active listening. Active listening. You have to be a great listener when it comes to communication. You gotta listen so you build trust. And so one of the ways you can do that in a one-on-one conversation is just to maintain eye contact. Use open body language. Don't sit with your arms shut. Don't shake a leg or tap your finger. Don't keep looking at your device. Give them the attention they deserve. Reflect on what they say. So instead of interrupting, instead of jumping right in, take a second to reflect. If you don't understand something, follow up with them. We've talked about this a million times on the podcast and with Speak with People on the blog. Use the TED acronym, TED. If you don't understand something as they're talking about, T, tell me more. E, explain what you mean. D, define that for me. And then ask open-ended questions like those ones I just gave. But some of us, we just need to overcome some of the common listening barriers. Things like being easily distracted, uh, of interrupting or formulating a response just to try to say super, super quick. There's a great quote: we have two ears, one mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Practice mindfulness to stay engaged. And then if you're going to really soar in your communication this year, you're going to need empathy. You're going to need levels of empathy that you've never done. Empathy is so much more than feeling sorry. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of the person you're listening and actually feeling what they're going to. When you do that, your understanding is going to go through the roof. You will use empathetic language. It's the things that we have to be able to do and the things that will help us succeed. And so if you want to achieve huge, huge amounts of communication improvement this year, it's time to identify some of those common communication mistakes. It's time to identify some of those common communication mistakes. And one of the best ways you can do that is just sit down with people who know you, trust you, love you, like you, and ask them, hey, what are some of my most common communication mistake? Dr. Henry Cloud puts it this way: tell me what it's like on the other side of me. Now, this is a tough one. This is going to be hard because you're going to hear some things that you don't agree with, that you don't think are true, but you've got to do everything you possibly can to be able to listen and learn from those ways. Listen and learn from those ways. And when you do, powerful things will happen. So, do you want to be confident and clear in your communication this year? Then start looking for those ways that you need to improve. Look for the ways that you can be a more humble communicator. Look for the things that may be putting up a roadblock in front of you. And then invite feedback. Ask people for help. Ask people to say, hey, I really need some help on this. Now, today's episode, much shorter than we normally go because we talk about this all the time. But I wanted to do a reminder. I wanted to put a reminder in your head, in your heart, in your soul, that your leadership deserves the best communication skills you can possibly ever muster. You can possibly ever muster. So if you missed episode 1, go back, listen to it. I'd love to know what you think. Email me, jason@speakwithpeople.com. Let's talk about how you continue to improve, and let's talk about how you can have the best year yet. I can't wait for next week's episode. I can't wait to share with you the things that we're launching in 2025. Get ready for those. It's going to be absolutely exciting. We are here to help you transform your communication and to help you become an exceptional communicator, because when you do, your trust, the trust that you have with people will go through the roof. Your influence will expand and you will succeed like you never have before. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you in the next episode in this exciting podcast series, Best Year Yet. Thank you for listening to the Speak with People podcast, where we believe that healthy communication is the key to unlocking your leadership potential. Thank you for leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And thank you for every like and every comment. Every single time you cut and copy a link and send it to a coworker or a friend, it absolutely means the world, and it helps each other transform our communication skills. Lastly, don't forget about a great resource that's available to you: our communication skills library. At the end of every episode, we ask each guest their favorite speaker, their favorite podcast, their favorite book, and we've compiled all of those resources together to give you an amazing library to continue your growth and development. Thank you again for being a listener and for being a part of the Speak with People community.